haven't you ever wished you were someone else in life? Well, the MCs in this list probably did, but they turned into something else completely instead. Hopefully, they can at least find some love, or at least be near some. Number 10.
何か足りないとすれば、今彼女がいないということか。というか、彼女いない歴37年。まあ、別にいなくて困るというものでもないし。
First up in our list, we got That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Starting strong, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime is an anime well known among the community and a staple of the Isekai genre. It begins as Satoru Mikami is thinking about how he's still unable to get a girlfriend after 37 years of being alive. In perfect timing, one of his co-workers show up to flaunt his newly attained wife. Thankfully, some guy comes charging in with a knife to put an end to that event. Double thankfully too that his co-worker friend is there to ensure his sus hard drive is destroyed after he passes. All that though is just the beginning, as we quickly get into the swing of things as we see more of That Time Satoru Mikami Got Reincarnated as a Slime. One of the kickstarters of the Reincarnated as a Monster niche for a reason. It's a very solid isekai that properly delves into both the system and the world in which our MC is now living in. It manages to tickle the right amount of video game nerdgasm and political growth fantasy as the slime.
改めて紹介しよう。こちらが我らが主イムル様である。
Now known as a Rimuru, builds a town for monsters to live in peace. But as soon as we find out, that's easier said than done, as keeping the peace in a completely foreign world with a bunch of politics is a real pain in the butt. The journey is made much smoother though, as he does gather a great cast of characters to follow him. Though Rimuru himself is yet to find romance, even with an army of simps, there are plenty of romantic developments throughout the series among the large cast of characters. Especially check out the Slime Diaries for more chill slice of life episodes. But who knows, maybe Rimuru's love story is just developing. Maybe it's even right before our very eyes. Number 9.
こいつらカップルじゃん。殺そう。ゲームの世界に恋愛などという不純なものを持ち込む愚か者は魔王たる俺が裁いてやらねばならんな。
Next up is the Summoning Circle, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. Takuma Sakamoto is just your run-of-the-mill degen gamer, except he's actually a god at the game he plays and is considered a true Demon Lord Diablo. But you can't run away from the degen blood. He's still a no-life gamer at the end of the day, so all couples should die. No romance shall be had on this Demon Lord's watch. Well, at least that's what our MC thought. As the clock hits 12, he suddenly receives a kiss from two beauties, and he realizes he's no longer in the real world. In fact, he's not even himself anymore, and he's now in the body of his prized character, Demon Lord Diablo.
なんだこれ俺部屋でゲームやってたのに
これで霊獣の儀式は終了ですねさすが私召喚成功ね
Thankfully, this has some great merits in his new fantasy life. For one, being Diablo has an effect on his speech, with it being twisted to fit his character. This means the sweaty gamer is actually able to communicate with others, including the two beautiful women who had just kissed him. Speaking of, they both summon him for their own personal goals, all of which start with Diablo as their slave. But that gets flipped around quickly due to his overpowered gear. The rest that follows is our MC learning how to really become a demon lord, knowing what it means to not only be strong, which he already is, but also be able to protect those important to him.
大変なことになりましたね。ディアブロさん、レムさんたちを解放してあげられないのかしら。
無理だな。俺の好きで従わせてるわけではない。
Number 8.
なんだ急に暗く。なんだお前
こんにちは、アークです。
Getting deeper into the bones of this list, we have Skeleton in Another World, starting off with, maybe this is, oh, there he is. The Skeleton Knight in Another World arc. A sign of good things to come, this anime doesn't waste any time with scenes of the modern world, as it knows very well that no one cares about this dude's name. What's important is, he's here, and he's here to save the day with his overpowered gear and skills he got from gaming with his character. Slight problem though, as he picked the skeleton race, and that isn't very good in an isekai, as they'll probably kill him. So, all Arc has to do is keep a low profile and live out fun and exciting days, taking advantage of all his newfound powers.
非常にまずい。こんな姿で街に行けば大騒ぎどころかモンスターとして討伐されかねん。誰かの経験値になるのはごめん被りたい。
Though, maybe as these stories go, only one of those will really happen. Case in point, he immediately helps out those girls from the beginning, serving justice for all redo of healers out there. Maybe a bit too much justice, but that's the fun of being overpowered, I guess. He later helps out a haughty elf named Ariane Glennis Lalatoya, and this marks the true start of the series where Arc aids Ariane and the liberation of her elvish people. And so, a humorous, action-packed adventure ensues, with ninjas, furies, and undead. Oh, and also a couple of ecchi shots as our MC slowly grows Ariane's skeleton kink.
感謝します。こちらはルビエルテ家のローレン・ラーライア・ドゥ・ルビエルテ様。私は次女のリタ。
ああ、いや、別に大したことはして。
Number 7.
やばい、死ぬ。勘弁してくれよ。俺は。
Next one on the list, we have the Unwanted Undead Adventurer. This one is our first entry where the MC is not a subject of isekai. Instead, our MC, Rent Faina, is a bronze level adventurer who always had big dreams. Aiming to reach mithril level, Rent was on that Sigma grind when he unfortunately thought he was in Dungeon Meshi and got killed by a dragon. Thus starts the life of being an undead adventurer who is, spoilers, very frickin' far from being unwanted. In fact, as you go further into the anime, besides him dealing with being an undead monster in a totally different leveling system, he interacts with many characters who were worried to death. You see, Rent naturally disappeared after he turned into a monster, and he couldn't simply publicize his situation as he'd most likely be unable to continue his adventurer grind.
知り合いに頼んで魔物や魔術の勉強もした。どんな小さな依頼でも引き受けた。そうやって10年続けてきたのは夢のため。
All this provides us with many scenes where he slowly lets people who care into his secret. It's a bit aggravating sometimes seeing this, but in the end, it's a logical choice. That being said, you'll find out from watching that Rent is for sure one dense dude. I mean, the one person he knows he can trust is this beautiful lady, Lorraine Vivier, who he's been friends with for many years. She's clearly showing the hots for him all throughout the show too. Do they get together? Well, you just have to watch it to find out. It's got pretty good action and nice world building if you're into that too. Number 6.
俺もだいぶ慣れてきたみたいだな。当たらなければどうということは。まだまだね。
Every dog has his day, but for our MC, Kazuhito Harumi, today just wasn't it as he was faced with an armed robbery in Japan. Those are pretty rare over there, Worthy of being our MC though, he makes a move and puts himself in harm's way to protect a beautiful bystander. Sadly, the harm that was coming came in the form of a 12-gauge slug. Now depressed at the thought of not being able to continue his book nerd life, he suddenly awakens as a dachshund. Eventually, after being trapped in a pet jail, the cool beauty Kirihime Natsuno comes over to liberate his doggy life. After some rope play, Kirihime Scissorhands revealed herself as the famous author Kazuhito was always simping for.
お前が秋山忍！いいから早く色欲かけよ。
いきなり失礼な犬ね。
And so, a life of pure bliss begins for the little dachshund. If bliss meant absolutely insane comedy, with scissors and talking dogs getting the sharp end of it. This old gem may not have the highest rating on this list, but believe me when I say it's one of those that you just have to see. Especially now, anime back in the early 2010s just have a certain charm to them that newer titles lack. For one, it features a classic cool derriere. That isn't as abundant these days. The type that's even got that sprinkle of tsun. And how can you say no to a woman who just wants to physically harm you? I kid. Rest assured, no dogs were harmed in the making of this anime. A lot of these MCs have been able to go on amazing adventures because of their transformation. It might not be too much to ask, but by clicking that super thanks button on this video, you'd be changing our lives as well. While you're at it, why don't you tell us what you would want to reincarnate as if given a choice? While you comment down below, make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. I probably want to be a dog myself if it meant I could live with a cool beauty.
というわけで、俺は今、大ベストセラー作家、秋山忍と一緒に暮らしている。
できたわよ。
しかし意外なことに、料理や掃除、家事もきちんとこなしていた。
Number 5.
翌日目を覚ますと、俺の周りには緑色の醜い赤ん坊たちがいた。そして俺もまた、その醜い赤ん坊たちの一人だったのだ。
This anime has a pretty similar premise to something like Reincarnated as a Slime, a mix of both power exploration and a bit of politics to go along with it. This definitely leans more towards adventure though, and it's evident by its somewhat unique pacing. The story starts with Kanata Tomokui, who is from a world that can only be described as sci-fi. Then again, he did have powers even at that point, namely absorption, which allowed him to absorb strength and power by eating people.
簡単に言えば、鉄だろうが黄金だろうが毒があろうが何でも食えて、食えばそのものが持っていた何かしらの能力を一定の確率で得られるって能力だ。
After that, the typical stuff happens and he finds himself in a new world as a goblin baby. He quickly named Goburou by an old fart goblin and immediately realizes he now has to figure out how to get by in his new life. Thankfully, he fits right in, especially with his already monstrous power that carried over. With that, time literally skips by as he builds his strength and the strength of those around him to establish himself in this new world. Now, while titles like Reincarnated as a Slime lacks straightforward romance, Monster delves much deeper into it. Though I guess it's not so much romance as it is a ton of lovemaking, and even a couple of moments later on which really drive home the importance of using protection.
妹さんは男の子をどうにか無事に産んでくれたのだった。彼女たちの腹部の傷は俺の血とありったけのアビリティによって綺麗に治した。
Number 4.
やばい、このままじゃ自動販売機が危ない。てっきり死んだかと思ったけど。
Serving up next, we have Reborn as a vending machine. I now wander the dungeon. For those who have gotten tired of the typical Isekai anime, this one is definitely a more unique spin on the genre. For one, our MC named Boxo is a vending machine, and that means everything that comes along with it. He can't move or talk, only being able to spam some available voice lines. That being said, the usual level up systems are in place to provide a nice fantasy adventure. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a vending machine find love? Well, that's where your meager imagination fails you.
高いけど背に腹は変えられないよね。きたー！ヒコト、これも押せばいいのかな。
As a provider of goods, it's only a no-brainer that he is loved by pretty much everyone that comes across him. Also, Boxo's blonde savior, Lamis, is luckily a very kind and caring heroine. Throughout the anime, you really get to enjoy their close relationship. You can only imagine just how easily it could blossom into more, as he possibly gains the ability to speak and maybe even become human. Besides that, there's plenty of adventure, camaraderie, and fun vending machine gameplay that you probably never knew you wanted until you see it for yourself.
最近めっきり寒くなってきたからだ。ちょっと前に仕入れた新商品のスポーツドリンクも好評だ。昼はおでん缶を引っ込める。
Number 3.
もしかしてここ犬飼さんの自宅？俺を助けてくれたのか？あ、俺言わなきゃ。ってあれ、声が出ない。
Next trait we have for you is my life as an Inukai-san's dog. Now you might think this was a weird one, but if you look, maybe this one is just insane. But to be honest, besides the first episode, there really isn't any more ecchi. Maybe a few more in another episode, but it doesn't really reach the unholy levels of the first in my professional opinion. That being said, it is a show with heart in some ways. Ultimately, you have Karen Inukai, who loves the now doggy MC a bit too much, and Pochita, as the boy-turned-dog who now has to traverse this new reality without alerting PETA.
さっき自分で子犬には無理って言ったのに。いや、ダメだ。ここでそんなお座りなんかしたら。
As a dog lover, Karen naturally wants to be loved and be the only one loved by Pochita, which puts him in a predicament since there are a couple other girls who equally want to pet the doggy. So, while there isn't a whole ton of lewdness, there is a fair bit of ecchi jokes. So, if you have fun with that, you should like this one so long as you like seeing a cute dog and cute girls. Hopefully they don't do anything more, or maybe they should. Who am I to say?
私がいない間、ポチタと何してた？服の中に入られたり。
ポチタが自分から。
Number 2.
申し訳ありませんでした。喜んでくださると思い、ちょっといたずらしてみたくなってしまって。
いや、別に期待なんか。そうか、心の声が聞こえるんだったな。
The next meaty entry is Butareba, the story of a man turned into a pig. Equally lighthearted, this series has great comedy that comes from one degen of an MC and a pure of heart heroine. A very slow-paced watch that really delves into character interaction and explores a very flawed society that at times even mirrors reality. It all starts when a yapping otaku slowly realizes that he turned into a pig, and it was all because he accidentally ate raw pig liver. Thankfully, a blonde beauty named Jess picks him up from the pen cause she could hear him yapping out loud. Quite similar to another entry on our list now that I think about it.
大変、豚さんじゃないんですね。
そうだ、豚小屋にいる生物が全て豚とは限らない。今のはこの女が喋ったのか。
今すぐ小屋から出しますね。待っていてください。
What follows is an adventure in a fantasy land between pig and woman, one filled with dirty jokes and tear-jerking drama. The main goal is to obviously try and get Pig into his human form once more, which is great since it's a world of magic, but bad because it's also a world of capitalism. Other characters come along, but really it's the relationship between Jess and the pig that's the heart of the series. While the visual is strange, you slowly fall for the idea that there is truly love between them, though I guess the pig is plenty cute anyway.
とても恥ずかしいので、これ以上美少女とか天使とか言ったら、豚さんのお尻をペンペンしちゃいますよ。
美少女にお尻を叩いてもらえるならむしろご褒美だ。
Number 1.
俺、ダミーヘッドマイクになってるんですけど。一体ここはなぜ俺はダミヘになっているんだ。
Finally, for the last entry on the list, we have My Life After I Became a Dummy Head Mike One Morning. In this anime, our unnamed protagonist is reincarnated as an ASMR Mike. Wait, why is he a bicycle seat now? A chicken? Are you kidding? What the? Well, what's important I guess is he's able to magically appear now as any object, for as long as it's in between Yuri.
気持ちよすぎて冷静になれない。
どうかな。
One of the purest forms of love. Oh, how lucky is our MC as he's able to witness so many cute moments between girls, especially the scenes between Yuri Asukasa and the ever so cool Panda Kuramae. There are other girls too, but they're not important. The OTP can only be those two, but just as with any other Yuri, issues sprout. But who knows, maybe our knight in reincarnated armor will be the one to not only be between Yuri, but the one pushing for it.
相手してくれるんだ。じゃあ少し慰めてもらおうかな。
And that's all we have for this list. That was a wild one, but thanks for joining us. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button and remember to leave a like and comment down below. It helps us a lot and gives us an idea on what you want to see.